Broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for High Velocity Radio.
Welcome to Coach, helping business coaches deliver more impact in less time. If you're a business coach and want to help more people make more money and own your backyard, go to mybrxstudio.com. Lee, this is going to be a fantastic show. Please join me in welcoming to the broadcast Chief Funnel Scientist with Growth Funnel Lab, Mr. Jeff Elder. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm excited to talk all things funnels.
Well, Jeff, before we get too far into things, could you share a little bit about Growth Funnel Lab? How are you serving folks?
Yeah, so Growth Funnel Lab was built around the idea that people and websites have changed, and funnels is the way that we actually match the experience that people have with our brand based on how they actually shop. So it's all about creating the buyer's journey in order for them to grow in confidence with us and to get them from becoming a stranger to a client. And so funnels, what we do is we help business coaches build out sales funnels to automate their whole sales process so that they are freed up to actually serve their clients instead of having to chase after prospect after prospect. Because after all, who likes to chase, right? A lot of my clients, they just want to serve their clients and they want the sales process to happen automatically. And so that's what we're able to help them accomplish.
So now in your business, is the sales funnel exclusively online, or is there a in real life component to it as well?
Yeah, so we deal mostly with the online version, but in reality, a lot of the same principles can be applied offline as well. So I do talk to my clients about how they can do that. In fact, I had a client meeting this morning, and it was kind of a combination of both. We talked through their online strategy, and then we talked through their offline strategy. So a lot of the same principles apply in both cases.
And then what's the pain that these coaches are having where the sales funnel is the right solution as opposed to more traditional methods of getting clients?
Yeah, so the pain, like I mentioned before, a lot of these business coaches, they don't have a sales background and they don't like sales. They would rather spend their time either in business development or serving the clients that they have, but they know that they need leads in order to turn those leads into clients. So what a funnel does is it actually attracts the right customer or the right prospect to their website. And we do that through Facebook ads and Google ads and things like that. And then they come into their website typically by an offer, which is just a downloadable piece of content that they give away in exchange for an email address. And then once they fill out the form, they get into the funnel. Then we can do an email sequence where the email is actually doing all of the work of nurturing that lead. And then once that lead becomes a little more warmed up to that business, then they can actually reach out and set up a phone call and take the sales process from there. So really their involvement comes towards the end of the sales process where the automation kind of handles the front end of it. So that's kind of the pain that we help solve, is to kind of take away a little bit of the pressure for them having to sell all the time and have to chase after these prospects all the time. Because sending emails and follow-up emails and getting on the phone and having to follow up and try to close these people, that can be pretty time-consuming. So the funnels take a lot of that work out of their hands.
Now, did you invent this, or are you part of a group that does this around the country?
No, did I invent funnels?
Or
that
this
the question?
particular funnel, this particular funnel system for coaches?
No, I didn't invent it. I'm just using standard funnel principles, and then I'm applying it to business coaches and what their needs are. So one of the first things I do is I sit down with them and I'll ask them a lot of questions about their audience and who it is they're trying to serve. That way we can create content that's going to attract their ideal prospect. And that's how we draw them into the funnel. So I did not invent this, but I am using standard sales funnels principles to, to build those out to actually take care of prospecting for them and the sales process.
Now, do you serve other niches or just primarily business coaches?
So right now it is primarily business coaches, but I do have some clients that are not in that niche. So I do serve them. Anybody that has a company, maybe there are 1 to 3 people on staff. So it is the smaller end company that I serve, but business coaches are the primary, then business owners are the secondary. Anybody that has a service-based business is what I specialize in.
Now, how did they get onto your radar? Do you have a funnel for those groups?
I do have a funnel. Yes, I do. So I have an offer right now, which is basically, it's a free ebook that explains what a funnel is. And that's my funnel. So when they come to my website, they can see there's a page that's called What is a Funnel, and they can download it there. And then I also set up a quiz that they can take to see if a funnel will actually be the right fit for them. So I have those 2 lead magnets going on right now, and that's how I primarily get in and generate leads on my end.
Do you end up doing any coaching to the coaches about selling? Because like you said, a lot of them are focused on their coaching, but they're not salespeople. So do you have to end up kind of coaching them up on how to sell?
Yes, a lot of my service does revolve around coaching, because a lot of these coaches, they have the know-how to kind of get in there and do some of the stuff themselves. So with those coaches, I do provide a lot of coaching for them. Then I have other clients who they just don't want to mess around with the technology at all, and so they just say, hey, just take care of this yourself and just build me the funnel, and they're very hands off. So it just depends on the client. But yes, I do offer a lot of coaching, because even though they may not be the ones implementing the technology, I still want them to have a very basic understanding of what's going on. So coaching is definitely a big part of what I do.
Now, when you're working with a client, do you build this within their website ecosystem, or do they have to go into like your own funnel ecosystem that's separate from theirs, and you kind of connect them together?
Nope, I utilize their own website, because I want to make sure that if we're spending the money and the time to drive traffic, I want it to go to their website so they can get brand awareness, and people will be able to see their website, interact with their website. So a lot of the tools and the resources that I use to build a funnel, it's very closely tied into to the client's website.
Now, you mentioned you're in Ohio. Are your clients also in Ohio, or are your clients all over the world?
Nope, I have clients based all over the country. Yep, I serve primarily the U.S. base, and so I do have clients spread out across the country.
Now, do most of your coaches want to build relationships in person locally, or do they also want to pull clients from all over the U.S.?
Yeah, some of them, it just, again, it depends on the client. Some of them, they just want to work local, or they want to do more national. It just depends on their business model and what they're trying to do. But I do have a handful that, it's a mixed bag. But I do highly recommend for them to also network and kind of get outside of the funnel online and really start to develop relationships locally. So that's kind of what I encourage them to do. But yes, it just depends on their business goals and what they're trying to accomplish.
Now, how did you get into this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I taught myself how to design websites back in my late teens, and I did it as a hobby. And in 2008, my best friend and I decided we wanted to start a website design company. So we did that. And then in 2015, as the technology advanced, as websites advanced and all that, there was a transition that started to happen away from a static website, which is basically just an online brochure, that's what most websites were back then. It's just a static, informational based website. And as soon as the blog started to come on the scene, and social media and email marketing and all of that, I kind of saw a trend that was going to happen to where websites were going to become more of a revenue generator for companies. So I wanted to figure out exactly how that was going to happen. And that's where I discovered this whole funnel idea. So I did a lot of study on it, implemented it, in our own business, and saw, this is kind of where things are heading. So I taught myself again how to do funnels just based on trial and error with our own company. Then I decided to make a major shift this year to where I'm actually moving more away from the website design area and more into the funnels. So I basically just started as a hobby, just something that I enjoyed doing, to now it's my primary business.
Now, when you're working with clients, how quickly do they typically see results from their efforts?
Yeah, so I typically let them know that it's going to be about a 3-month leadway, because it's typically about 3 to 4 weeks to build out the funnel. By the time we talk about strategy, implementing the technology, a lot of them will have Facebook ads connected to it as well to help drive traffic. So it's about a 3-month leeway before getting the funnel up and running and them actually starting to get leads into their funnel. Sometimes it happens faster, but 3 months is the typical turnaround time. I've been able to generate a lot of traffic over a weekend in one case, and then in another case, it's taken 2 or 3 months. So again, it just depends on the market and kind of what their goals are and what we're trying to accomplish.
Now, is it kind of a one fee to get it all set up, and then there's an additional fee to kind of maintain it, or is this they just buy your service and then they're kind of on their own?
Yeah, so the pricing is dependent upon how they want to do their funnel. Some of them, they just want the guidance. They just need the strategy and they need a little bit of help with the implementation. So that's one package. Then I also have another package where, I do the whole thing for them. So it just kind of depends and what they want to do and their knowledge of the technology. And then I have a coaching program as well where it's a group coaching program where I can provide a lot of this knowledge to them. So I basically have 3 ways that they can work with me, and then each package has its own pricing to it. So it's pretty set pricing because I have a process down pretty well, so I know what I'm offering to them. So the price doesn't change at all. It just depends on how they want to proceed.
Now, when you're doing the group coaching, is that on a regular rhythm and people can jump in and out, or is that kind of personalized? You said it was group, so I would imagine it could be anybody, like a beginner, intermediate, advanced, all in the same call.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag, and they can come in and out as they want. It's 2 times a week that we're gonna have the calls. The first week, I'm going to actually teach a principle. They can go do it. And then the second call will be them being able to come and share their experience or ask questions or talk through challenges. And then everybody's going to have an opportunity to kind of share and provide feedback and input. So that's kind of how the coaching program is set up.
If you're just now joining us, you're listening to Coach the Coach, helping business coaches deliver more impact in less time. Featuring our guest today, Chief Funnel Scientist with Growth Funnel Lab, Mr. Jeff Elder. Jeff, I love it that you have chosen to focus on a niche. And of course, for us, I love it that you have chosen to focus on the niche of coaches. At the risk of sounding like we're walking through a house of mirrors, what counsel, if any, would you maybe have to share with coaches regarding this idea of pick a niche and go after it, the pluses and minuses? Your advice, if we're out in the marketplace selling our coaching services, should we think about going after a niche just like you have with your business?
Yeah, I would highly recommend going after a niche. To be honest, this is something that kind of became a reality for me kind of the middle of last year. And I really started thinking about, okay, I'm offering way too much and I'm trying to serve everybody. And the reality is there's no way that I can do that. That's not sustainable. If I'm trying to serve everybody and try to offer everything under the sun that I can offer, I'm not going to be good at one thing. And that's really what my focus was. I wanted to get good at one thing, and I wanted to serve one audience that I knew pretty well, and I knew that I was going to be able to help. And I think that's something that business coaches really need to think through is they need to just, come to Jesus meeting with themselves and just ask themselves, am I offering too much? And am I trying to offer it to too many people? Because here's what I discovered. If you do that, your message is going to be very clouded because you're going to be trying to sell your services to everybody, and you're going to be trying to sell too many of your services. And I'm a coach myself who says, he has a phrase. He says, clarity attracts, confusion repels. And what I've noticed is the more focused I've been able to become, I have people that now come up to me who know what it is I do, and it's the right audience. So how did I pick business coaches? Once you kind of make that decision to niche down, the thing you got to ask yourself is, of the clients that you're currently serving now, which ones do you just really enjoy working with? Who are the ones that you've had the most success with? Who are the ones that really get you excited every time you start working with them on their project? That's going to be a pretty good indicator that might become the niche that you want to work with. And once you kind of figure that out, then it's time to do the hard work and really try to come up with your message. How are you going to speak to that niche, and what are you going to offer to them? So that's kind of what I would recommend, is just really figure out, like, who is it that you love to work with, and what message can you craft that's going to speak to those people. And then you have to go all in, because, you asked about the pros and cons. Well, the con of that is when you niche down like that, all of a sudden you have a lot of people now that you're going to have to say no to. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the number one fear people have when it comes to niching down, is they realize, oh no, I'm going to have to say no. And that's a pretty scary, proposition for a lot of these people. But the upside to that is if you can become really good serving a particular niche, you can charge more, because you get to know them very well. You get to know what's going to work for them, how to make them successful, and that's going to automatically drive what you're going to be able to charge up, and it's going to pay off in the end. So that's kind of why I decided to niche down. And when I got my message really focused, it really started to click. And I'm really excited that I did that. And I think any coach would be smart to try to figure out if that's going to make sense for them.
Well, I'm really glad I asked. That sounds at least to be very solid counsel. And with your permission, I'd like to continue this conversation off the air, because I've got some specific questions about how Business Radio X might serve the niche of coaches even more effectively. But I'll let you and Lee get back to your interview. But thank you for that. I'm going to take that to heart and really try to act on that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, Jeff, can you share any kind of success stories where you were able to really make a difference in a business coach's practice?
Yeah, so I ran a campaign over a weekend for a coach, and he was offering a weekend promotion. It was only going to last over the weekend, and he wanted to get business coaches that were kind of sitting at home over the weekend. And so we set up a funnel for him. He was actually selling it was actually a document that he had put together to promote one of her services, but it was kind of like the beginning stages of, he just wanted to kind of whet their appetite and provide just some basic information to kind of get them ready for a sales call that he was going to do. And we launched it on Friday afternoon, and by Saturday morning, we were able to generate about 300 leads into his funnel. And then by the time the weekend was over, he had about 400 people download this booklet, and he was able to book, I think he got about 30 phone call interviews set up, and was able to close about, I think he said he ended up closing about 8 to 10% of those. So now we're in conversation to figure out, okay, how do we actually magnify this? And that's another piece of advice I would give is, I typically don't run Facebook ads around an offer that isn't already converting, because if it's not converting, it means that the content is probably not resonating with people. So it's not going to matter how much money you throw behind it. It's not going to work. So since this worked very well, we are actually in process of trying to figure out how we can actually put some money behind it and do some Facebook ads to it. So that was a pretty cool funnel that I was able to be part of.
Now, how important is it to create kind of content on a regular basis?
Yeah, I think creating content is very important because content is what we use to gauge the effectiveness of your message. And again, I only want to magnify the content that's being actually engaged with. And the only way that we can know that is through content creation. So I'm really big on creating video content, blog content, social media post content on a regular basis. Now, here's the thing about that. I don't want people to stress out thinking that they have to design content every day. But I do want you to be consistent with it. So even if you say, I'm going to produce, one video a week, that's awesome. That's better than nothing. But be consistent with that and do it once a week. Don't overwhelm yourself with creating a bunch of content, because what typically happens is after the first couple times, it gets hard and people usually give up. So focus on one piece of content and one piece of content type. So if you like to be in front of the camera, take out your phone, create video content. if you like to write, create blog content. But all those elements become potential parts of a funnel. So I encourage people to create content, and that's part of my strategy session with them, is to talk through what that's going to look like. But yes, creating content is definitely a huge part of the funnel process.
Well, Jeff, this has been a lot of fun. I learned a lot, and I'm sure our listeners have as well. If somebody wanted to learn more about Growth Funnel Lab, what's the website where they can jump into your funnel?
Yep. So if they go to growthfunnellab.com, and in fact, if they go to the website, there's a button on there that says "All Funnels for Me," and I create a little quiz that people can take that will kind of let you know if funnels will work for you. So they can actually take that quiz, find out, if funnels are going to work, and that's how, that's the best way to get a hold of me, and just a fun way to engage with that content there.
Good stuff, Jeff. Well, thank you again. Jeff Elder, growthfunnellab.com for more information. If you're a business coach out there that is interested in kind of ramping up their sales activity, definitely worth checking out. Thank you, Jeff, for sharing your story today.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
All right. This is Lee Cantor for Stone Payton. We will see you all next time on Coach the Coach Radio.